Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, like a book club for people who hate reading. This month we're doing family films, so James picked the movie Addams Family, made in 1991. We do Season 1, Episode 4, Dog Days of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we bring you movie news. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. And here's a description of Addams Family in 1991. Con artists plan to fleece the eccentric family using an accomplice who claims to be their long-lost Uncle Fester.
Who ends up being the long-lost
Lost Uncle Fester.
Yeah, right.
What do you say? The first thing I got to say is this Raw Julia, God rest his soul, Crush Your Heart is, oh my God, the perfect pick. And he died doing the worst movie ever, which is Street Fighter, which I promise we'll never do unless one of us is getting back for one of the others to pick.
Ah, damn it, that was going to be my family movie.
Um,
Raul Julia, one of the most underrated actors. I mean, partly really because he died pretty young and didn't get the chance to kind of, sort of redeem himself from a movie that he didn't even really like doing. Which was Street Fighter. But this movie entirely comes down to the perfect casting of all time.
Oh no, seriously. Yeah. I mean, everybody in here was perfect. I mean,
absolutely.
Even like, God, they're seriously trying to pick out any particular person in this movie who I didn't like.
And nobody that you wouldn't sit there in a room as a complete amateur and somebody brings in Raul Julia, you're like, okay, nailed it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Angelica Houston, like, of course.
And I mean, even Christopher Lloyd.
Even Christopher Lloyd, I mean, he's done serious stuff in the past, and he can be just as creepy, or even just as funny while trying to be just as creepy.
Well, we already did a really creepy one with him playing the creepy guy. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I mean, that role, like.
Well, I would say this was in the spirit of that. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was in the spirit of this, though. It's a comedy, but it's also serious.
Yeah.
This, I think, has more of the gothic feel to it, especially the way they kept standing like the American Gothic couple.
Yeah.
Well, this movie always kind of. I really loved this kind of stuff as a kid, and especially because you didn't really get much of it. I didn't watch the original Addams Family. It wasn't one of those things like I Love Lucy where it was on if you were sick, on a Wednesday at 10:30 a.m.
I would say,
it was one of those things that you'd never seen anything like it, especially this movie. So when it came out, I was like, this is the darkest, funniest thing I've ever seen. And tackling a subject matter that most, kids and even a lot of adults don't really want to think about. So making fun of morbidity and things like that, I mean, kind of spoke to me.
I would
agree.
I would say from what I've watched of the original, this was a lot darker than the actual television show, which if you watch it was made roughly sometime in the 60s.
It was only on for 2 years.
Was very similar, I think, to the Munsters in some way. This, to me, was the perfect movie. It had the how do you say it? Just seriously, it had the perfect amount of gothic humor and depression, and like my favorite scenes in this movie really were the games. Like when she asked,
"Is there a god?"
Asked their Huxley or whatever his name is, Pugsley, to sit on the chairs. The game scenes, the one with the knife.
Yeah.
It's like, honey, don't use that.
Is that for your brother?
Use this one.
Here you go.
I mean, this whole movie, I mean, once you understand the gimmick, I mean, this is a writer's dream. I mean, I imagine that the writers that got a hold of this movie were like, oh, this is lay up and set them down,
Yeah.
Just every time. I mean, the alley-oops all over the place, all the gimmicks that you can have, not only with the family, but the interaction with society and things like that.
One of the things that, I don't want to be overlooked, and we can go on tangents, and we're going to, but Thing, the graphics for Thing were
really
state of the art. That was actually a guy with his hand wearing a green suit doing all that stuff. That was actually a person.
And it still holds up. Which if you watch,
except for the lily pad.
Yeah. There were
and
a few.
The CGI where they were doing the whole hurricane thing, but that's totally forgivable.
Well, there were bits and pieces. I mean, this movie holds up better than Jurassic Park does.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the creativity that went into Thing was exceptional, because before it was like Thing was in a box.
Yeah.
And that's how they transported him or interact with him. And to have him moving around like that. And the other thing was, I was an Addams Family fan before this movie came out. So it was one of those things I'm like, where is Cousin It? Where is Cousin It? And Cousin It shows up. I was just, I mean, awesome.
So, and along with that, you've got everybody's...
And then he shows up to Too Legit to Quit.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Wow. True. It's a 90s culture.
I mean, exactly.
Reference.
It was early 90s, so it was sort of the obligatory rap song, but just that moment holds up today.
Well, you got MC Hammer doing the song, the Addams Family song.
Yeah. Now that was the really dated obligatory rap song.
It really was.
It might as well have been the turtle rap from Ninja Turtles. Too.
But for me, it's hilarious. I hear Hammer busting out. I was like, oh my god, that But it was a popular thing at the time. I mean, pretty much everybody in the late '80s and '90s wanted Hammer pants, or at least wore them once.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Vanilla Ice. He wore the same pants.
Yep.
And then you had everybody's favorite living anime character, Christina Ricci.
This movie is the one that I fell in love with her.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh,
I was the right age to be like, who is this dark, awesome chick?
Yeah, it's really like, is she available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind Winona Ryder. Give me Christina Ricci any day.
Oh yeah. And I want to bring up this one too. Is this one to me the epitome of a family movie because of the relationship between Morticia and Gomez? I mean, that's like my favorite TV couple. Besides, Peggy and Al, but whatever.
See, that's the interesting thing at the heart of this movie. It is a family who loves each other.
Yeah,
and who just who are on the left side of odd. Another good scene I would say would be the one where he removes the stop sign, and they see him and they just wait for the crash.
Yeah.
This movie, you're right, it's so full of gags and gimmicks, but all of them, not only do they hit, they blend seamlessly well into the movie.
Well, because it's such a high concept. You know what I mean? Like it's a really easy thing to. Here's a creepy family. I mean, and just the jokes play on everything.
Right? Oh no, it's everything is awesome. And the craziest thing, this is a short movie.
Yeah.
This is only roughly 99 minutes, so it's
short by today's standards, when every goddamn thing has to be 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. I mean,
or in the case of Return of the King Special Edition, 4 hours.
Yeah,
right. That's the territory we're getting into. But just a simple 3-act. No frills, no twists and turns. Just everything you see coming, but you're perfectly happy with it every time.
Yeah,
right. You're right. It's a beginning, end, and middle. And I wouldn't say any of the characters are really
not necessarily in that order.
Beginning, end. You know what I mean. And there's
eventually.
And none of the characters are like traditional archetypes of creepy characters either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Lurch. I mean, but he didn't really do too much. But I mean, his body language and the looks and the.
By the way, he's also in Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes, he is.
Which is one of the first places I remember going, "Hey, I know that guy. He was in what's that movie?"
But I pretty much think that everything is in there. I mean, this comes up with one of the most famous lines of any film, which is, "Are those made with real lemons?" And are your Girl Scout cookies made with real Girl Scouts? I've said that to a Girl Scout before. Got some weird looks. Mom chuckled a little bit. John was there.
But the problem for that little girl, that's a 20-year-old reference, and she's only been around for 9 of those years.
That's a good line, though.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a beautiful line. I mean, it's a line I've used on occasion.
That little girl has no sense of humor, is what it is.
Yeah, and then you got the other one where Pugsley comes down dressed as Uncle Fester, and then Wednesday comes down dressed normal, and
that's
they're
my
like,
favorite line.
What are you supposed to be, a homicidal maniac? They look like everyone else.
Okay, that line I've actually used.
Well, I have too, but I did an addition to it, a homicidal suicidal maniac. And then I've actually had somebody ask me where my weapon was, and I pulled out a really big knife, and they said, "Okay, here's some candy. Goodbye."
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
But never mind the fact that it was actually concealed under my shirt.
I was just say the other scene in this movie that is amazing to me is the scene where they're going to find the bad guys are going to find the vault.
Oh yeah,
The shenanigans around that are hilarious.
yeah.
I love
the books.
Huh?
The books.
Oh yes, I love that the guy's sitting there opening a book, sounding himself.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie's pretty much just a giant gag joke.
Yeah,
I mean, it
is. And it's more kid friendly than Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
see. I saw Beetlejuice as a kid, and I loved it. But I remember
Me
thinking,
too.
this is definitely not kid friendly. Yes. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I've been watching rated R movies since I was a wee lad, so I'm probably the wrong person to talk to on that.
I mentioned this to somebody earlier, the old guy, and Raul Julia, I mean, was 50 years old when he made this film,
Yes.
and I mean, he looked like he was barely in his 30s. It just really well, just aged really well. And Angelica Houston was 10 years younger than him, and did not look as young as he did.
Well,
And
I think part of that is the makeup and what they put her in. The pale makeup and wearing all black.
yeah, but she didn't age well though.
Oh no, I
Unfortunately.
don't
then
disagree.
Also, I mean, his
Well, either is
makeup,
Rod Julia
Yeah,
now.
well, she
Well,
got to
yeah,
be
I mean, the worms got to him.
a pretty classic. Has that real kind of scowly look to her. I mean, not to say she's completely unattractive or anything like that.
No.
I don't want to put her down, but she was a doll back then.
Hey, is this the old guy?
Hey, this is the old guy. Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, phone a friend.
Phone a friend. That's right. Well, I know it's been a while since I've been on the show, and you're reviewing a movie that I absolutely love. So I thought I'd give my 2 cents worth.
All right. Let me turn them up.
Okay, so what's your 2 bits?
No, not 2 bits. 2 cents. Big difference.
Yeah, there is a
Two
big
bits
difference.
is 25 cents, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
So
Too bad they're wooden pennies. How?
Yeah,
So, what are your opinions?
don't take any wood nickels. Well, anyway, so as a kid growing up in the 60s and watching the original Addams Family in black and white, it was one of my very, very favorite shows. And, it was just incredible. Everything was amazing. It was just such a great program. And I know it seems crazy to some people when you say that because they look at the material and they say, really? But yeah, trust me, it was a great show.
Well, see, I got a question for you, Rob. I think I asked you something similar to the last time you called in, but this show, back when it was on, because I was just telling everybody I didn't really watch it. I mean, this was really my first introduction into the Addams Family when I was a kid.
Right.
But, I mean, I imagine everything back then had a real Pleasantville kind of a vibe to it. Everything was the Cleavers and Brady Bunch and that kind of stuff. So what
My
was
Three
the
Sons.
contrast of this?
Well, good. That's a good point. It was, they had a few controversial things in it, and they were somewhat ahead of their time. We're looking at everything kind of today and today's news in the transgender community and all that was really funny because Cousin It was really kind of you didn't know if it was a he, you didn't know if it was a she, you didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Sort of androgynous, yeah. The whole thing did seem to be kind of an allegory for like civil rights and that sort of broad scope, acceptance thing.
Yeah, there was definitely some vibe to that. I mean, there was no doubt about it. But the reality is, it was just a lot of fun, really kooky stuff. They came up with with things that still had a dark theme, but they were able to make it fun and
They were able to be kooky and creepy.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so the original TV series was great. It was a lot of fun. And on the movie, I think because of my exposure as a kid and looking at the movie at the time, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It brought back a flood of memories. It had that feeling that we had on the TV show, and they're fairly spot on the characters. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like when you can tell, that it was made out of fandom.
Yeah, they didn't take a TV series and make a movie out of it that didn't look at all like the TV series, which
Right.
seems to happen quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was saying to everybody earlier how much of a writer's dream this movie must have been. Like it's just gag after gag, you know.
Absolutely.
I definitely say this is a fandom's movie because if you take a look, it's not the Dukes of Hazzard movie. This
Totally
is so much an
different.
homage to the
so
original
different.
source material.
Right. No, it's a completely different thing. I mean, they had fun with it. There was a lot of material to work with. The characters, building on the characters was fantastic. There's some characters that they couldn't duplicate perfectly, but they did pretty good on some of it. My favorite characters was obviously Lurch was a favorite character. The original Wednesday was for me as a little kid was kind of a sweet looking little girl, and and Morticia, of course, was way out there, and so it was a lot of fun, and I think this movie was very close to spot on.
So-
And I had a good time with it, and considering what the main character was going through during that period of time, what was coming up, and everything else was going on, they managed to capture everybody pretty good. So
So
for me, this
what-
movie really struck a chord with me.
So what would you give this movie? What's your rating?
Well, from what I remember, and I didn't get a chance to review this movie again, but from what I remember, I thought the movie was a strong 4.
Well, I definitely agree with you. It's a 4 out of 5 to me. I mean, this is seeing this as a kid to me, seeing it as an adult, it ages well. There's nothing in this movie that's like even today disappointing. Everything works well. It's almost a 5 for me.
Yeah, it's close.
James?
I agree with you guys on your points of it, but for me, this one is a movie that I can enjoy a lot, and I don't think that I would really, wait for my kids to be actually 13 to watch it, because there's no like nudity or exceptional violence or cursing in any fashion or form. So, I actually think this one's one of my personal favorites, and I think it's 5 out of 5 for me.
Ryan?
I gotta split the difference a little bit. Go for a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it's such a beautiful flick, and I really mean that in the way that it sounds. It's like I said. I mean, it's a subject matter that is so often played the other direction as so somber and everything. So actually getting to make light of it and approach it in that way, I mean, is something else. But then just all the jokes and how funny this freaking movie was, and casting. I mean, it's such a strong 4.5.
Because we're Addamses. And so
Addams.
we're gonna switch over to season 1, episode 4 of The Shield, entitled Dog Days?
Dog Days.
Dog Days. And so, James, your pick. You're up.
Well, before you guys do that, I want to say thanks very much for letting me butt in and put my 2 cents in on this.
You're always welcome.
You're welcome.
I enjoy it. Thank you for doing that. And I'm going to give a little plug for my show as well. Don't forget to watch Crime Beat on Old Guy Tech TV.
Must watch.
It's on the Old Guy Tech TV website, along with Real Sex, of course. And you guys have a good evening. Thanks for letting me put my 2 cents in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
So, this one for me really, it demonstrates I think it brought a reality into Vic and his team as to how far they're going to be going. Because in this one, getting feedback, in this one, they actually pretty much helped murder a guy. And, that, and it really shows them getting into the drug trade and that type of thing. So for me, I think this episode is basically there ain't no going back now for them.
Excuse me. I agree. I also always liked at least this episode.
Mute the phone. Mute.
I always liked in this episode
Feedback.
how it showed how he was always at least a little bit one step ahead of everybody. How he was, for all intents and purposes, constantly the smartest guy in the room, even more so than his partners.
Yeah.
Especially if you watch the end of the series.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we won't get into the end of the series, but, I think this one isn't my favorite of how violent or crazy Vic or his team become. But for me, like I said, it's a good episode because it shows, the look between Michael Chiklis and the guy who plays Lem. I don't remember his name right now off the top of my head. But the look they have when they open it up and they're like, and the guy comes out, he goes, "Ain't nobody coming out of there. I told you it was a bitch," and walks out, and just Lem and Vic look at each other. I think they did a great job of showing the shock and like, oh crap, we're screwed, moment.
They play
So-
that whole inner circle there plays very well off each other through the entire series.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we give that a must-watch, and I'm going to tell you, make sure you watch, or make sure you go to our Facebook page, Real Flix Reviews. Tell us what you think. You can even pause for the cause and donate to Old Guy Tech TV. And the other thing is, we have a
We'll sell you
audio.
Ryan.
We do have an audio podcast, so you can listen to us on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, and more. And so we're switching to movie news.
Yep, I got it.
You got some?
So now we got spin-offs coming pretty soon. What would you guys think of a Harley Quinn spin-off?
If the
I
Joker,
mean, without, spin off of what?
Of the upcoming movies.
Already? We don't
Yeah,
even
they're
know-
already in discussion and setting it up for Suicide Squad to have a spin-off with Harley Quinn.
if it really depends. If I like Harley Quinn, like I like her in the cartoons and the comics, then I'm game for it. But
Okay.
if I don't like this version, then hell no.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like I don't even know if I'm gonna like her in this movie.
Yeah, I think it's way premature.
Yeah.
Because she's one of my favorite characters. And the other thing is, what are they going to do? Are they going to do how she became Harley Quinn? I mean, exactly what are they going to do? Is this going to be like the last Punisher movie, Warzone, where it's just going to be boom, you have a story, no nothing? I mean,
That's what I kind of think as well. I think there needs to be I think just taking a character from it and just kind of throwing a spin-off out of it is really unnecessary. Especially since Ryan pointed out, I think his opinion on this one is spot on, of the fact that you have fans who don't know if they're even going to like this Harley Quinn. They don't have a fan base of her. I mean, there is a fan base for the character, but not for the person playing it
and not for
and
this.
her interpretation.
Yeah.
Or
Or at least the writer's
they've
interpretation.
done a lot of Batmans. Half of them have been good.
Yeah.
That's generous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, take
That's-
that back and say generous. Yeah.
That's
but, I
very.
mean, but okay,
Nipples.
sure. Let's not actually get into the
Nipples.
actual percentage, but not all
Nipples.
of them have been
On
good.
a-
They've had to do that character sort of over and over again. Some of them hit with the audience. Some of them are like, "What on earth is this?"
Well, I would
Yeah.
say this comes down to like the Joker.
Oh, no.
Like Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker was the best live-action version of the Joker, up until what's his name played it, and
Brokeback.
and
Heath Ledger.
and I just don't think there's going to be another one that's done very well. Now, I'm excited to see the interpretation of the Joker, but I think the Harley Quinn's going to run into the same issue
Yeah.
a little bit, but not playing against other live action, playing against the cartoon, which, at least for me, she's one of my favorite
Well,
cartoon
think about this
characters.
though. I mean, you kind of brought it up. Ryan brought it up that there's been so many Batmans already out or already. This is new territory.
Yes.
I think, as far as I know, this is the only live-action version of Harley Quinn ever done.
Oh yeah, no, it is, and she was originally for the '90s Gothic Batman. She was actually invented for that,
Yeah.
and so no, this is the first time I think she's been in anything, but besides
Live action.
live action,
Yeah.
besides
Yeah.
comic book and video games.
Yeah. So I mean, this is unknown territory that they're stepping into, and they already have discussions of it. That's what
Yeah,
I'm like.
they're banking a lot on that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they're just talking to see if they can generate any buzz behind it. But
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, I'm not sure
sure.
if this is going to end up being, like the rumor thing of Tim Burton with Beetlejuice 2, which
Yeah,
he actually
right.
came out, and it's on our Facebook page. Go look it up, about what Tim Burton actually said in regards to Beetlejuice 2, not some random dude throwing rumors.
I think this is more DC trying to catch up to Marvel. To
Yeah.
me, this is what the Justice League movies are all about is, hey, Marvel did this, let's try to do it. And so I'm kind of saying that's what this is going to be. They're trying to
So
do
it's
the
like
giant
the
umbrella,
South Park episode of The Simpsons did it.
pretty much.
Um,
And
Another thing I want to bring up so we can keep moving on. We spent quite a bit of time on Harley already. Is that Nintendo is in discussions of doing a Pokemon movie,
Live
and
action?
also in talks with rebooting. Are you ready? Do you know what I'm going to say? Do you guys know what I'm going to say?
Mario Brothers.
Yep. Rebooting the Mario Brothers.
We've talked about the live action Pokemon. I think instead of doing Super Mario Brothers, do Zelda.
Yeah.
I'd rather see a Zelda than a rehash of
a bad
at
90s
least movie.
There's a real story there.
Oh yeah,
You know, not like Save the Princess.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Save the Princess, but there's a real story there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot
for
of
you
story.
morons out there, Link is the one that is going to save Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda
You
is the princess.
morons. So idiots out there,
Some-
stop calling him Zelda. His name is Link.
Somebody apparently touched a nerve.
It's just stupid. Like, oh, I want to see Zelda do this. It's like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about.
See, I'd totally be game for some Nintendo movies if they do it right. The problem is they don't really have a great track record of live action movies.
Yeah, especially with the Super Mario Brothers. I mean, the TV show is pretty bad for itself as well.
The two main characters in the 90s Mario Brothers apparently got hammered every night after doing this. Even they knew this movie was bad.
I don't blame them.
That was the legendary Bob Hopkins, who's like one of my favorite freaking actors.
Yeah, it's a black mark on his career.
Yeah.
It can never be erased.
Yeah.
Poor me.
So, they're discussing adding a new character to the X-Men franchise. Can you guys guess? It is
Morph?
Nope.
Male or female?
Female.
Animal or vegetable?
Dead. Don't eat my animal's food. I'll slap you.
Teenage Warrior.
It's X-23.
Seriously?
They are in talks of introducing pretty much Wolverine's daughter, X-23.
I wonder how they would do this. Are they going to do it? Are they going to do an Old Man Logan?
It's just in talks. The actual producer of the Armageddon coming out said that he had already pitched this to the studio, and now the studio is actually taking it a lot more seriously. And I would like to see it because X-23 is badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be okay with it as long as they don't drag it out like they did Wolverine. I actually put up there that, I thought, that Hugh Jackman has, kept on saying that he's not going to do another Wolverine movie. But, somebody brought up a good point is he wants to go out on a high note of a Wolverine movie.
I would say it's the
So I
same
hope
thing
they do
as
something good with X-23 and learn from their mistakes.
I would say it's the same thing with Daniel Craig. Every movie he's after doing Bond, he's like, I'm done, and he drags back. The problem is, it's probably such a good character, especially for him, because honestly, that's the reason
Bond.
Uh,
why he's famous, at least in the Western, world, United States.
Yeah. A lot of times, what it comes down to for an actor is hey, listen, do you want $8 million or do you want to have scruples?
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's
shit. I'll take $8 million and worry about scruples later.
Well, that's the reason why Rod Julia took Street Fighter, because he knew it'd be a good last payday for his family. So you can't really blame any actor for doing that. I mean, look at Halle Berry. Yeah. She did a horrible movie.
And took her top off.
No, wrong horrible
I know,
movie.
but I'm just saying she took her top off for
$1 million.
$5 million?
So, yeah, I do have a bit of a question for you. And I was thinking about this. If they rebooted the Addams Family, but just made it a tad bit creepier, just ramped it up a little bit more, would you watch it? If they found the perfect cast.
Ramped it up to what? Rated R?
Exactly. Yes. I mean, what are we gonna have Saw? With jokes.
Yeah,
I'd be down for that, but because allegedly they're looking into, and have been looking into, at least maybe not a reboot, but a sequel to the first and second one. When Christina Ricci's character is older and Pugsley's older.
They did a third one. There was like a straight to video situation.
That one I never saw.
Yeah, I didn't see it in there.
It's like RoboCop 3. If I didn't see it, it didn't happen. Even though I saw that one. So I don't know. See, I'd be game for another one if it was the right cast. Because I really love this movie.
Well,
Addams
it's
Family.
the right cast and the right writers. I mean, you're never going to get as good of a cast as that. I don't think. But the writing. I mean, it has to have that love of the original. You know, not just kind of the love of the remake. Because then you get a copy of a copy of a copy, and
True.
just diminishing returns.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to wake the dead on a bad movie.
It really is.
But
really,
then
really
again,
is.
I mean, they do this all the time. I mean, it's sort of family movies, so it's something like it's a property that like, hey, I knew this from when I was a kid. Let me take my 8-year-old to see this. You know.
And then they see Deadpool. So yeah, no, So I think I'd be into it, but I'm with you. I'm kind of tired of remakes. Like I don't want to see a reboot of Swiss Family Robinson. However, I want to see Disney remake The Black Hole because that was a financial disaster for them. So it would be funny to watch them fail a second time.
Yeah, it could be. So yeah, that's my movie news.
So next week is Ryan's pick. So he's picking a movie and a TV show. Let's see if he did his homework this week. Ryan, you're up.
We're still doing family movies, right?
That's a bingo.
That's how you say it. Right?
Yes.
Because that's the only way it justifies me picking this. Actually, no, I really like this movie. And it kind of flew under the radar, I think, with a lot of people not liking it or something. I wasn't too familiar with the source material, so I have no stake in this game. But Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events,
Nice.
the movie based off of the book by the same name, starring Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about this movie. This movie went in and out very fast.
It really, it seriously kind of just breezed by everybody. I saw it on video, or whatever DVD.
Yeah, because
later
nobody saw it in the theater.
And,
No. Yeah, I didn't see it in theater.
I mean, it's really much in the same kind of tone as Addams Family almost. you
Yeah.
know?
So, what about your TV show?
TV show, I'm picking Firefly. I believe it's episode 12 called Heart of Gold.
No,
Hearts of Gold.
Is this season 1?
Whatever. It's all season 1, episode 12.
Jackass.
Unfortunately, no. There's a series I want to see come back. I don't care if all the characters are older. I'd still watch it, honestly.
They got makeup.
Heck, you could even have a zombie fly the ship, and I'm still down for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to have zombie wash fly the plane.
Totally. So, ladies and gentlemen, I gave Addams Family a 4 out of 5. James gave it a 5 out of 5. Ryan gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and our phone a friend, the old guy, gave it a 4 out of 5.
Which is saying something.
Next week is Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events and season 1, episode 12 of Firefly called Heart of Gold. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.